Thank you once again. And ladies and gents, it's time for Antonio Peric Mazar. It's the first regular talk, and the name of the talk is You Call Yourself a Senior Developer. So, Antonio, the next hour is yours. Enjoy.
Thanks. Hi there. Hi. Can you hear me? Cool. It's nice to be here, like almost 2 years out and finally back on the stage and at one of my favorite conferences in the cities. So I cannot complain about that. First, I want to thank two organizers, sponsors, and everyone included to making this event possible. So please, big applause for them. Thank you. My name is Antonio. I'm from Split. I'm from Croatia. I'm the speaker, co-founder, and working as CEO of Locastic. Locastic is a software development agency, and I'm in the industry for like 12 years. So I have some experience working with people, working with clients, developing things. So I know a few things here and there. And today I want to talk about developers. To be more precise, I want to talk about senior developers. I want to try inspire some people to be better developers. And I want to discuss about skills that are required to be a senior developer. Before I start, I just want to get the idea about the audience. So can you please raise the hand if you consider yourself as a junior developer? Cool. Mid developer? Rest is senior? Okay, it's like third for each category. So let's start with the easy question. How do you become a senior developer in a year and a half? Full stack. Actually, the answer is very easy. You need to change 3 companies. In the first one, you are junior, right? You will learn something, and then in a half a year, you will start searching for a job. Of course, you will not accept the junior position again, so you will be hired as mid-position developer. In 10 months, or maybe again a half a year or a year, you will start searching for a job again in a third company. They will offer you a senior position. That's the quickest and the easiest way. That's how the market works. Because the pressure is huge, there is a huge lack of developers and engineers. So hiring is very hard for the companies, and then they are hiring and ranking people literally based on the salary. So what is the only thing that is changed here? That's the salary period. You are still, after a year and a half, junior developer. You are focused on writing the most beautiful code. Do you have beer or table tennis, etc. in your offices, and you still don't have a clue about software development. That's the truth. That's how the things are working. And then you will stay in that company probably for years, because at some point, debt will come. The payment will be there. So basically, you will be frustrated because you are stuck in some senior position, but you are not senior. Company will be frustrated because they are paying for senior, but they are not getting the senior. And then you are literally stuck. And let's see some aftermath. So basically, this is something that is humiliating in our industry. So at the beginning of each project, we are considering that 75% of the projects will fail. In the end, 50% of the projects fails. And one of the reasons that I consider to be like this is that because we have a lot of inexperienced people leading the projects. And we cannot blame junior developers for the failing. They are not responsible for the project. And then we have something like this. Basically, we have a lot of developers overestimating their skills and underestimating the projects. For example, if you overestimate yourself in aviation, you will probably kill some people. In IT industry, we will probably lose some money, but then we will get some new investment, or we will change the job, etc., etc. So this is also the problem of our industry, or how we actually rate ourselves. If 2 developers are talking, one will say, okay, I'm bad. Second one will say, I'm the god of the development, based on my subject opinion. So let's talk about roles in our industry. If you open a job board, you will see like front-end developers, you will see back-end developers, and then you will see Ninja developers, Guru developers, 10x developers, lonely developers, etc., etc. I don't even know what that means. Like, what is the Ninja developer? What is the Rockstar developer? So the titles are useless if we don't have some kind of standardization. Basically, we have the purpose of the titles. Again, if you are changing your job, then titles are good. But still, if we don't have standardization of the titles, we don't have anything. We don't have a clue what we are hiring. What is the senior? What is the intermediate? What is the junior developer? The things are getting better. A lot of people are discussing about this issue. So we have some companies that are trying to publish the standardization of the roles. They are not bothering like with PHP developers or JavaScript developers. They are focusing on what is junior developer, what is mid developer, what is senior developer. For example, we have Bonfire company in Croatia, which published a document on a 50 pages PDF document. You can download it from their website, where they described each role. Okay, let's try to go on some road trip from junior to senior position. Basically, the road is your career path. On the beginning of your career path, you are starting as a junior developer. And this is an incredible position. You are fresh out of the school. You think that you will conquer the world in a matter of the days. And then, bam, you are stuck. You don't understand anything. Things are messy, less theoretically pure. And you cannot make assumption about anything because you didn't learn in school about that. Because in our industry, we are doing a bunch of the trade-offs, a bunch of compromises to achieve the goals that we have. And juniors are not prepared for that kind of the things. So basically, you know nothing, junior developer at the beginning. What should be your focus? Your focus should be to learn about code, to focus on the code, to learn about tasks, to solve the tasks, to improve, to make fails, to learn from that fails. If you don't have someone who is supervising you or mentoring you, you can stuck in this position for years. So this is a huge issue. Usually companies hire a bunch of juniors to save some money, then nobody mentoring them, and then we have like thousands of juniors still know nothing. And that's a huge issue. So if you are hiring juniors, they should be as your long-term investment. You should monitor them, you should mentor them, and you should invest in them. Basically, juniors are code-focused. They can solve a code if it is written well, if they have good acceptance criteria, but they don't understand the development process. They don't understand the distinction between development code and the project. Everything is the same for them. So junior developers in any situation are not responsible for the outcome of the project, period. There is no discussion about that. You cannot give someone who is like working half a year project of, I don't know, $2 million and say, okay, you need to deliver that. How? Let's talk about intermediate developers. So intermediate developers have the mission. They are on the mission finding the right way of building the software. So they are learning a lot about architecture, about design patterns. They try to implement everything in the project. They are learning through the literature, through the books, through the conferences, talking with our developers. But they are still on this mission, searching for the right way of building the software. And they had a git blame moment in their life. They saw a lot of things failing, including their own code, which they were proud like 2 years ago or a year ago, and now they know it's garbage. But still, they need to be, again, supervised. So basically, they understand teamwork, they understand goals of the project, they understand project by itself. They can estimate things, but again, you need to review that. They can participate in things like improving the process or improving code design. When I say participate, they can be in the discussion and give the good ideas, but still someone who is over them, like some senior developer, should review that. The sad fact about intermediate developers is that they all think they are senior developers. We cannot blame them. Why not? Because they never work with someone, usually they never work with someone who is better than them. Usually they think they know everything because they didn't saw anything better. And it's maybe ugly world, but they are the workhorses of the development team. They will do the most of the coding. They will do the most of the architecture and everything. Because if you are a senior, you should not do some stupid development task. You should do some other things. We will talk about that later. But juniors and intermediate developers should do most of the coding. Okay, let's talk about the topic today. So senior developer like when we are talking about that, and maybe after these slides, someone will consider that as like some supreme creature, let's call it in that way. In reality, it's just a normal person. Bottom line, knows how to communicate, knows how to do their job, and they saw a bunch of shit in their life. They did. Everything fails, so they saw a lot of that. So let's talk about senior developers. So basically, they wrote under and over design system in their career, I'm sure 100%. Both system fails. They hate complexity, and they are obsessed with simplicity. You know, when you are going from junior to intermediate level, you are totally in that design pattern things and everything. And then at some point, like, oh my God, I'm too much complicating. I'm going back and I'm writing very simple and clean code. That's usually how it goes with the developers. But what is most important thing, I love to say they are firefighters. It's just similar if you are project manager, if you are CEO of a company. If everything is good in a project, what are you doing? You are solving issues. There is always some issue. There is always some problem. There is always some stress. But if everything else works well, you are firefighter. So basically, all the stress on the project, all the problems that no one can solve, will be on your side if you are a senior developer. They understand how the system works. When I say high level of understanding, it's very easy to write a closed system. It's very easy to write CRUD application. But when you start to asking yourself why we are building this, how we will build this, for example, if you are building a channel manager for hotels or something like that, and you need to integrate your systems with Airbnb, with Booking, with Expedia, etc., that's something where it's not very easy to build a proper architecture, build a proper system that will last for a year, and build a safe system. And of course, during the years, you will need to change. You will need to adjust to the APIs of the providers, which are not the best APIs, to be honest. So that is something that you need to understand. Also, there is one thing that probably if you are on a Twitter, you are aware of that. I call that hype-driven development. So there is a new JavaScript framework released yesterday. It has 20,000 stars. Let's use it. What we will do with that? They will probably abandon it in a month. Nobody will maintain. We don't have support. There is no company behind that. If we get stuck, we are dead. We can throw money and not implement anything. So basically, that hype-driven development is also something where you can detect junior developers, for example. They are hyped about everything. I love to write more code. I don't like users. I don't love customers, but I love to write the code. Let's use this newest technology. Let's rewrite everything. Like PHP sucks. Let's use Go. So that's something standard also, especially in the PHP world. And senior developers fully understand that our job is not writing the code. Our job is solving the problems. And when I'm talking about the solving problem, I'm going to next thing. Knowledge about business problem is essential. How you cannot solve a problem if you don't understand the problem? Coding is the last thing that we should do. If someone is selling tickets at the door of the venue, and there is a problem, you need to go there, understand that problem, solve that problem, and then you should code it. If you don't understand the business, it's impossible to solve the problem. And the business objective is the main goal of the project, usually, to earn some money or something else. They fully understand the context. Again, you understand the business problem, you understand the context of the problem you are solving, and then you are applying the theory, for example, I don't know, some design patterns or some architecture that you know that will be probably a good fit for that project. And now we go back to the right way of the building the software. There is no right way of building the software. And every senior developer knows that because it depends. It's a huge trade-off. It's a trade-off of the client, budget, organization, team, tools, everything. When you put this in a line, and when you can make a trade-off or compromise of all of these things, you are building a good software. Because, for example, if you are spending $2 million and your budget is $1 million, how you are building a good software? Someone will be annoyed. Client will be annoyed, probably. If you don't have a team that can deliver that amount of that complex software, you cannot build it with it. You need to scale down. So I will give you one example, not from our industry. It's from a restaurant. I have a friend who is the director of food and beverage in one restaurant, and restaurant is amazing. I'm not talking about some crap restaurant, I'm talking about fine dining restaurant. And he had amazing menu for the lunch. So like literally, the venue is amazing also, everything is good. And this year we went there, and on the menu there is fish, there is one steak, and there is a bunch of different pastas. The pasta is amazing. They are cooking really one of the best pastas. And then I asked him like, why did you remove all the good things, like better things than pasta? And he told to me like, at the moment, I don't have a team that can deliver that meals, but they are doing amazing pasta. So he made a trade-off, and he still has amazingly good food, but not comparing to the last years. Okay, there is COVID and everything else. But still, he did a trade-off. Restaurant is working better than ever in this year. But still, that's a trade-off. That's the trade-offs that we are doing when we are building the software. And now let's talk about things that we really love as developers. Let's talk about soft skills. First thing, I hate the word soft skills. That should be called core skills. Because if you will survive in some environment, that will not be with code, that will be with these things. Communication, leadership, responsibility, etc., etc. But when we are talking about developers, usually there is a bunch of senior developers who will still say, I don't want to communicate, I don't want to be mentor, I want to do like really good, attractive projects and just put my head in a code. So first, your team members are humans too. You probably already knew that. They have problems, they have bad days, they have good days. Maybe you don't like their hair in the morning. Probably they think the same about you. But still, you need to be nice about them. You need to communicate with them. And you need to understand that two hardest things in computer science are people and convincing the people that people are the hardest thing. And your customers are also people. So we are working, all the projects, all the code that we are exporting, we are doing for the people. We are not doing that for machines in 99% of the cases. So teamwork, be nice and care about people. I'm not saying like if someone is doing mistake to not tell them. Actually, you should tell them directly, but be polite. Don't be rude. And long term, there will be very, very nice results. Make other humans in your company better. For example, if you are a senior and you are mentoring some junior, try invest some time, talk with them, talk about career path. I'm always saying it's not just about mentoring, it's also about sponsorship. Remember, like, I had that discussion with one of my teammates, like when we discussed about juniors, we always forgot that we were juniors at some point. And at that point, I don't know, 12 years ago, there was not many people that I knew who were like quite experienced or senior developers. And when I met some people, when I found a place where I can ask the question and get the answer, it was like mind-blowing for me. My life was much easier. So basically, you need to be able to communicate with the key people, and you need to be able to communicate with the people in business language, especially with the clients. As I said, they are also humans, and they don't understand our language. Like, imagine when you are going to the client, and you say, okay, we will use PHP, then we will use RabbitMQ with 1,000 workers. That will cost probably $3,000 per month, but we will be able to scale it in 3 months or in a day, etc., etc. The only thing that client heard there was $3,000, nothing else. They don't understand what we are talking about. If you are talking in a language they understand, they can explain you the problem. You can understand what's bothering with them. So don't bother them with the technical solution. Bother them with the solution they understand, in a language they understand. So this is very, very important. And sorry, but if you don't want to talk with the clients, I cannot agree that you are senior developer. Especially if you don't want to take responsibility about project, about team, about everything around the product that you are building. Sorry, but not. Also, the Merlin is one of, probably few people knows Merlin. He's from Zagreb. I think he's living somewhere outside of Croatia at the moment. I think he's still working in Google. We had discussion on Twitter about senior developers, and this was amazingly good tweet. And he said that this thing between junior and senior is that seniors are politically aware. What that means? That means that you know that you cannot achieve great things or you cannot build good products by yourself. At least you need a designer if there is some user interface. So you need to communicate to the people. You need to use some tools for communication. If there is any problem, you need to overcome it and focus on end result. And this is like really, really important thing to remember. Senior developers, as I said before, they understand it is not about us. It is not about developers. It is about the customers. We are building products for the customers. They are paying for it, and we get our salaries from there. That is how market works. Probably you knew that already. So even if let's go back to the salary at the beginning. Even if your motivation is only money, you should invest yourself literally here. Because if you improve your product, you get the new features, your customers will pay more, you will get more money. And show must go on, in a circle, always. So that's when I'm working with our clients. I always put additional effort. I always try to force them to build as better product as they can, because I know if they are earning some money, and if the products go well, for example, some e-commerce solution, we will get more work. We will earn more money. So that is how things are working. Let's talk a little bit about old people in the industry. So who has 30 or more than 35 years here? Do you consider yourself old? But we are old. Because when we had 24, someone with 35 years, I have 35, was old man. He doesn't know nothing. He doesn't know how to use the framework. He's slow, she, they, whatever. But in general, they have a huge experience. They are maybe slower coder. They maybe don't know to latest coding standard of Symfony 5, 6, or something like that. But they have a huge experience and the knowledge. And now we are getting older. Okay, the industry is also getting older. But young folks are considering us old men. And on the other side, we're considering them that they don't know anything and that we need to teach them, right? So basically, we need to overcome this. They should learn from us, and we probably at some point should stop coding and do more leadership things, communication things, talking with the clients, teaching them, sponsoring, mentoring, whatever. And this is something that will happen. Like usually if someone is working in some startup or it's some agency, like hiring 50 years old person, it's like, wow. We need to overcome that. They are not old, they are experienced. Okay, there are some people who will never be senior developers because of their own limitation. It's ugly to say that, but that's also true. We cannot all achieve the top levels. But in general, we need to start thinking about old people as useless people. We need their knowledge. We need to learn from them. Okay, let's say this. Before you jump on me, I'm not promoting no-code. I don't think that no-code or AI will ever replace development or developers, etc. I just want you to see the list of the features. Chat, schedule, private Instagram, unstructured site, currency conversation in less than 6 hours. This can be done from the person who is not a developer in less than 6 hours. If I ask any one of you how much time we need to build this application, probably half of a year, probably $100,000 at least. So things are changing, but this slide is actually introduction to the next slide, and that is this slide. So basically, we have a knowledge, we have experience, but what will be the most important things for developers and for all the people in the industry is actually how we are connecting the dots, how we are connecting the systems, how we are solving the problems for the clients who are stuck somewhere with the problem, and for them, their world is like total disaster. So this creativity is something like thinking out of the box. And you can know all the cool programming, functional languages, techniques, design patterns, but if you are unable to communicate well with your team, or if you don't focus on delivering actual value to the customer, you are not senior developer, period. Thank you. Questions?
Yeah. If we have any questions, we have the mic here in the audience, so just raise your hand and fire away with questions. It seems, Antonio, everything was clear. Huh? Oh, we have a question. We have a question in the back. Just wait for the mic. I hope it's not when's the lunch.
Hi. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Thank you for the talk. It was great. My question is about sort of a pre-junior title, like intern. You mentioned somebody coming right out of school or a boot camp and just getting into the company. Like from our experience, it's not even junior at that level. It might just be an intern, for at least for some while. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So basically, if you download this, as I mentioned, this Bornfight PDF document, you will see that actually there is like 3 or 4 levels of juniors. So not all the juniors are same. If you are intern, that's where you should, maybe you don't know how to code, so basically your only focus should be on learning the code. And then as you progress, you should learn more about process, tools, projects, etc. But you should, like in a year or year and a half or whatever, you should start take some more responsibility. That is, I will say, distinct between junior intern and some junior with 1-2 years of experience. So basically, junior intern doesn't have any kind of responsibility, and he's probably doing some small bug fixes, small task or something like that, or some intern project, I don't know. But in general, as you progress in career, you should learn more about, as I said, projects, about process, about tools that you are using, maybe how you are deploying, just to know the idea how that works, and then take more responsibility, bigger tasks, for example. But still, in any way, you cannot be responsible for any failure.
Thank you.
Evo, četvrti red, here in the 4th row. This is a coordinated action. Next one will be, again, in the back.
Hi. Okay, so just one question. Do you actually think that we should maybe introduce like another level? Because I know a lot of people who are like really like senior, they can lead the projects and everything, but they can't really, you know, like they're kind of introverted. So what about maybe considering like an additional level? We call it internally like solution architect, but
Yeah, definitely. Like this is the most simplest way of categorizing the developers, like junior, mid, senior. Of course, there is different levels. Of course, that senior level, maybe it's not the top level. Maybe you can be solution architect, and then you are just dealing with that kind of the issues. Maybe you are team lead, but again, that goes through experience, through the knowledge, and again, all these skills are required for that level. But for example, if you have 3 seniors and one of them is like better in everything, like maybe he's the good guy for, or person to be a solution architect. This is not like all the we cannot put all the people in these 3 categories. There is a bunch of sub-levels and everything, but in general, in 35, 40 minutes, this is what I can put in the slides. If I go like in 12, 15 levels, and then, I don't know, CTOs, team lead positions and everything. Yeah, there is one more issue. Usually in teams, some intermediate developers are team leads, which is also like, are they ready for that? I'm not sure. Maybe some person is, but still, like, you need to have a bunch of skills. And I'm not saying, again, to be clear, I'm not saying that numbers of experience should be measurement of any level. Because there is a people who I know who are like 7, 8 years working, they are juniors still, they don't understand anything. And then I have people who are working 4 or 5 years, they are already seniors. They are communicating well, they are talking with the clients, they have responsibility about other teammates, mentoring them, etc. So again, it depends from person to person. But to be honest, also you need to spend some time working on the projects to see all the bad things, because you are learning from them. You cannot read the book and say, okay, I'm now the most experienced developer. You need to see that, you need to fail. And fail is not a bad thing as we consider it. Everyone who is running any kind of the business, basically on a daily basis, we fail in something, and we learn from that. More questions?
questions? Going once? Going twice? That's it. Let's hear it
Thank
for
you.
Antonio Peric Mazar.